My friend invited me to a speed dating event last month, not to participate, to watch. She's the organizer, and she told me, if you really want to understand attraction, don't listen to what people say. Watch their faces when the bell rings. So I sat in the corner with a notebook, feeling like some kind of undercover researcher, and I watched 30 women meet 30 men over the course of one evening. 5 minutes per conversation. But here's what blew my mind. The decision wasn't happening in 5 minutes. It was happening in the first 3 seconds. I timed it. I watched their faces shift in real time. The woman would look up from her drink, the man would sit down or walk over, and before he even opened his mouth, I could see her body make a choice. Either she leaned forward slightly, her shoulders dropped, her eyes softened, and she opened. Or she leaned back, her smile became polite, her shoulders tightened, and she closed. All of it in under 3 seconds. I asked my friend afterward, can they really know anything in 3 seconds? They haven't heard his job, his jokes, his story yet. She laughed and said, they don't know his resume in 3 seconds, but they know his energy. They know if he feels safe. They know if he's performing or if he's present. And that knowledge is older than language. It's in her nervous system before her brain even catches up. That night, I went home and I couldn't stop thinking about it. What are women actually seeing in those 3 seconds? What is the invisible scan happening in her mind before a single word is exchanged? I started asking every woman I knew, my friends, my cousins, my colleagues, even my mother, and I started noticing patterns. The same things came up again and again. Not height, not jawline, not shoes, something deeper, something that lives in the way a man carries himself before he ever tries to impress anyone. Today, I want to walk you through the 5 things she sees in that 3-second scan. The 5 things that make her choose you or reject you before you even say hello. So get comfortable. Let's talk about what she's actually looking at. If you're finding value in these conversations, hit subscribe and turn on the notifications. I'm building something here for men who want to understand women on a level that actually works in real life. Next week, I'm going deep into the exact words and moments that make her feel chosen instead of just chased. You don't want to miss that. The first thing she sees is whether you're on stage or at home. This is the very first scan, and it happens before you even reach her. She's watching how you enter the space, how you move through the room, whether your energy is reaching out to grab attention or whether it's settled in your own body. A man who is on stage has tight shoulders. He scans the room to see who's looking. His movements are slightly exaggerated. He's performing masculinity instead of inhabiting it. He's trying to be impressive, and that trying is visible from across the room. A woman sees that trying, and her nervous system registers it as instability. Because if he needs the room's approval that badly, he'll need hers constantly too. And that's exhausting. But the man who is at home in his own body moves differently. His shoulders are relaxed. He doesn't need to check if people are watching because he's not putting on a show. He walks like he belongs wherever he is. Not arrogant, not slouching, just grounded. When he approaches her, he doesn't rush. He doesn't hover. He settles into the space near her, like he's comfortable being there. And that comfort is contagious. When a woman feels that a man is comfortable in his own skin, her body receives a signal that she can relax too, because if he's not performing for her, he won't demand that she perform for him. And that mutual permission to just be is the foundation of every real connection. I watched this at the speed dating event. The men who walked in like they were trying to be that guy got polite smiles. The men who walked in like they were just happy to be there got real eye contact. The second thing she sees is where your eyes rest. Not how long you look, but how you look. There's a difference between looking at someone and seeing them. When a man looks at a woman with evaluation, he's scanning her, checking her out, measuring her against some mental checklist. His eyes move too much. They travel up and down. They linger in places that make her feel like an object being assessed. And she feels that instantly. Every woman has felt the difference between being looked at and being seen. Being looked at feels like a transaction. Being seen feels like an invitation. When a man truly sees her, his eyes meet hers with curiosity. Not hunger, not calculation, just genuine interest in who she is. He doesn't stare. He doesn't avoid eye contact out of fear. He looks at her like she's a person he wants to understand, not a prize he wants to win. And here's the subtle part that most men miss. She also sees where your eyes go when you're not looking at her. Do you scan the room over her shoulder to see if someone better is there? Do you check your phone? Do you watch the door? That split-second glance tells her everything. It tells her whether she's the focus of your attention or just one option in your lineup. The man who gives her his eyes without making her feel hunted creates a safety that no pickup line can replicate. I remember at the event, one man sat down, looked at his date, and didn't break eye contact for the first 3 seconds. He just smiled softly. She told me later, I don't know what it was, but I felt like he actually saw me. Not my dress, not my makeup, me. That was the only man she asked for a second date. Let me pause here and ask you something real. When you look at a woman, are you looking at her or are you evaluating her? Drop the word see in the comments if you're starting to understand the difference. I want to know who's really hearing this. The third thing she sees is how you treat the invisible people. This scan happens so fast that most men don't even realize they're being watched. When you walk into a coffee shop, a bar, a restaurant, a party, she's not just watching you. She's watching how you interact with the world around you. How do you talk to the waiter? Do you say thank you? Do you make eye contact with the bartender? Do you hold the door for the person behind you? Do you acknowledge the host? These tiny interactions are her cheat sheet for who you actually are when you think no one important is watching. Because here's the truth. A man who is kind to the waiter but rude to the host is performing kindness. A man who is only charming to the woman he wants to impress is performing charm. But a man who treats every person in the room with basic respect, regardless of whether they can give him anything, that man is showing her his real character, and she sees it in a flash. She sees whether you say, just a water, or may I have a water, please? She sees whether you step aside so someone can pass, or whether you make them go around you. She sees whether you clean up your own mess or leave it for someone else. None of this is about being a saint. It's about being aware that other people exist. And a woman needs to know that you see other people, because if you don't see the waiter, you probably don't really see her either. You just see what you want from her. At the speed dating event, the woman sitting next to me pointed out a man who had just walked in. She said, "Watch him. He didn't thank the girl who checked him in. He won't thank his date either." She was right. He didn't get a single match that night. The fourth thing she sees is your relationship with your own body. This one is subtle, but powerful. She's watching whether you're comfortable in your physical form or whether you're fighting it. Are you constantly adjusting your clothes? Are you touching your face? Are your hands in your pockets because you don't know what else to do with them? Are you standing in a way that looks like you're trying to take up more space than you naturally need? All of these micro behaviors tell her whether you trust yourself. A man who is at war with his own body makes her nervous, because if he's uncomfortable in his own skin, he'll probably be uncomfortable with her too. He'll overthink every touch. He'll panic if she leans in. He'll be so busy managing his own physical anxiety that he has no room to notice hers. But the man who is comfortable in his body moves with ease. He doesn't fidget. He doesn't need to constantly check his appearance. He sits in a way that says, I belong in this chair. He stands in a way that says, I belong in this room. His hands are relaxed. His breathing is visible. He doesn't shrink, but he doesn't puff up either. He's just there. And that physical presence creates a feeling of safety that words can't manufacture. A woman once told me, I knew I liked him because he didn't move like he was apologizing for being alive. That sentence stuck with me. Because so many men move through the world like they're asking for permission to exist. And women feel that. They feel the hesitation. They feel the self-consciousness. And it makes them hesitate too. The fifth thing she sees, and this is the strongest one, is whether you create space or take space. This is the final scan, and it happens in the moment you actually engage with her. Does your energy expand and push into her personal space? Or does it settle and invite her into a shared space? A man who takes space talks loudly. He leans in too fast. He interrupts. He fills every silence because silence makes him anxious. His energy says, I am here, and I need you to react to me. A man who creates space talks at a volume that doesn't demand attention. He leans in slowly, only when she leans in too. He lets silence exist because he's comfortable in it. His energy says, I am here, and there is room for you too. That distinction is everything, because women are so used to men taking space that when a man creates it, they feel something they rarely feel. They feel like they can breathe. They feel like they can choose to come closer instead of being pulled closer. They feel like their yes actually matters. At the speed dating event, the man who got the most second dates wasn't the tallest, wasn't the best looking, wasn't the smoothest talker. He was the one who sat down, smiled, and didn't say anything for the first 2 seconds. He just created space. And every woman who sat across from him leaned into that space because it felt safe, because it felt like choice, because it felt like home. So there you have it. 5 things she sees in 3 seconds, whether you're performing or present, whether you're looking at her or seeing her, whether you're kind to the invisible people, whether you're comfortable in your own body, and whether you create space or take it. None of these require money. None require looks. None require perfect words. They require something much harder. They require you to become a man who is actually comfortable being himself. Because when you are, she sees it before you ever open your mouth. And that seeing is what makes her choose you. If this conversation opened your eyes, hit that like button so more men who need this can find it. Subscribe and turn on the bell if you want to keep going deeper on understanding women, building real connection, and becoming the kind of man who passes the 3-second scan every single time. Drop a comment below with the number of the thing you're going to work on first. And if you know a guy who keeps getting rejected before he even says hello, send this to him. Not because he's broken, but because he deserves to know what she's actually looking at. Until the next time we talk, stay calm, stay present, and stay grounded. This is Mind of Connection. I'll see you soon.